Auto repairs business package. Talking about that at this point. For me, the fact that this has been set up to be a subscription business is just kind of the icing on top of the cake, because there's already a ton of auto repair shops out there. A lot of them are profitable, but when you're combining our model, the startup series goes over everything that we do. When you combine that with an established service that every single person on the face of the planet almost needs, certainly almost everybody in the United States of America owns a car, and it has to have repairs and it has to have maintenance. So, you've combined a service that everybody requires, and you've added these subscription options, whether it's auto detail subscription. My wife would 100% subscribe to that. She hates a dirty car. You got the commuter package that covers oil and fluid changes. From a business standpoint, your customers aren't going to be changing their oil every month, so it's profitable for you. But from a consumer standpoint, it's $100 a month, and I don't have to worry about any of my regular services, air filters, all the stuff that different major brands try and upsell you on every time you walk in the door. All that stuff stays up to date on my car. Oil changes, which are now $75 to get your oil changed in your car almost. It's not cheap. But yeah, I mean, just the ideas that are on this site for the subscriptions, as a consumer, I get all this stuff done anyway. So if I can streamline it, even out my budget, it's not much more of an expense for me. But on the Auto Repairs Club owner side, on the Ready to Launch Business customer side, the customer is, instead of getting these peaks and valleys in income, which is really hard, especially the first couple of years in business, you're getting steady income now.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I think it, does a great job as far as stabilizing expenses for, the consumer side of it. Like you said, stabilizes revenue, certainly for the business owner side. And I think the other thing that it does that is of huge value is it creates a long-term relationship. You won't have the, customer migration that I think you'll see with a lot of auto body shops.
Definitely.
Where, people just pull out Google and search, instead of that, you have a subscription, you're going to have lower customer attrition. You're going to have long-term relationships. And like you said, with your wife wanting the, maintenance and detail package, I certainly would love that. I mean, we all, I'm sure, are guilty of having a dirty car and maybe even buying a new car too often because
I've got
we
4
just,
kids.
Get to that point where we're just like, it's too much. So I think just, any way that this can be, farmed out, automated, I think it's a huge one for everybody.
Definitely. I mean, I probably right now both of our vehicles are detailed, but if they weren't detailed, I bet that we've got chicken nuggets that could go in antique shops, somewhere inside of our car. So I definitely, the auto detail. But, the other thing that's not on here, not on this subscription side, is a mobile oil change service. I know that there was a office that I worked at, 15 years ago, and this guy would come around, and it was an inflated price, but it was a convenience factor of, I'll come to your office parking lot and I'll change the oil. And then, like I said, with how Ready to Launch Business will set this up for you, the business owner, you don't have, he had to worry about billing. He had to get all, these, send out invoices and collect checks and process credit card payments and everything. With the subscribe feature that we have on standard feature on every single website that we build, that eliminates that headache. It eliminates that position of, I know business owners that employ full-time billing people to send out a bill. If they would just automate that and even out the charge on everybody's end to, a subscription, maybe some people get a little more, maybe some people don't use quite as much, but it's an evened out charge that still brings the business in the same amount of money for the same amount of work, maybe even more money. You eliminate that person, that position, that billing, or you're doing it yourself at 10 o'clock at night instead of hanging out with your kids. So to me, that's a huge thing on this. In addition to, you can make whatever package you want with this Auto Repairs Club.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think from a, customer psychology standpoint, no one likes to shell out large unexpected expenses. No one likes to have to put big bills. And so having a predictable cost and then getting a matching predictable service that is needed,
Yeah.
I think is definite. I mean, it's a definite demand out there for something like that. And in fact, I think for a lot of us, it would also be a nice productive reminder to do these services that extend the life of our investment, our vehicle. So I think across the board, there's value in this.
Oh, definitely. And I mean, yeah, if I'm subscribing to a monthly service to get my oil changed at my place of business, it's not inconvenient for me at all. It's something I'm already paying for. So from a
Yep.
consumer side, when you're selling this to your consumer, it really does extend the life of their vehicle. It extends, how long their car will last them, because and it'll stave off costly repairs. We all know that maintenance on your car makes it to where you don't have as many costly repairs down the road, or things
Absolutely.
breaking on you. So if I'm already paying for it, they're willing to come to my place of business. That's a win for me, because now I'm not going to put off getting my oil changed, because it's no longer inconvenient and it's no longer an added expense. I've already paid for it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know it's something I would subscribe for. And I know, with a lot of windshield replacement services and things like that, adapting to that mobile model. And in fact, adding a, subscription component to it, I think has proven to be successful. And I think in this instance, there's a major demand and an untapped market. So I think whoever, moves towards this will find that they're providing a very holistic solution for an enormous number of people.
Now, you've worked under our business methodology. Tell me how our way of doing things has impacted your life.
Well, it's improved my life in many different ways. I've learned to, operate in business more efficiently, more strategically, with a greater focus on win-win outcomes. Where the business is profiting, but the clients and customers are happy. So it's been a very enriching process, and I've learned a lot from you guys. You guys have that entrepreneurial spirit that just makes for good business, and so it's been just an absolute pleasure working with you guys.
And now, what about financially? How would you say your situation is different?
Well, it's been enormously personally rewarding, financially rewarding. We've been able to do things we never imagined being able to do just a few years before. Your unique approach to business has enabled us to, be more profitable than our competitors. We've had a better work-life balance, I think, than most people who, even get close to approaching our income threshold. So I think really, I mean, as rewarding as something could be, it has been for us.
Now, do you feel like our way of doing things has profitability advantages over traditional ways of doing business?
Oh, most certainly. Yeah. I think you can, tell just by our history of growth. I mean, I think, are willing to adapt our business strategies, fill any niche role that's out there, and just, capitalize on things that other businesses aren't even aware of. So, yeah, I think we, have had a much greater level of success than our competitors with more profitability and oftentimes less busy work.
Yeah, certainly. And I think too, with the startup series goes over all sorts of that kind of stuff. And just the ways that we've been luckily forced to adapt, and learn how to do things with less staff, and more technology based or more efficiency based, just really picking things apart down to the typing of emails or not. Stuff like that makes a huge difference, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah. Breaking things down to their kind of constituent components, seeing what you absolutely have to have, what's not necessary, and then putting your energy behind what drives, maximum productivity and profitability. And I think that's been where we've had a lot of our success.
Now, Justin, what would you say to someone who is thinking about buying one of these business packages, but is maybe nervous about starting a business from scratch instead of going with a more expensive traditional franchise, or maybe nervous about something else with starting a business?
Well, I would say that, now is a very good time, I think, for someone to look at starting their own business. And I think, when you're weighing these options, say in comparison to a more expensive franchise, I think the flexibility that's afforded because you still own and have control of your own business, I think that's
Absolutely.
huge. I think that's why a lot of people start a business. They don't
Yep.
want to have to report to someone and curtail their goal and operations based on the direction of somebody else. So I think
Yeah.
you get all of those benefits. But I think the other thing that's a major advantage is that it is lower cost. You're not paying a percentage of your income for an indefinite period. You just have the ability to take a proven model to adapt it to your specific situation, to be given all the tools to implement your strategy and your goals and to achieve it. And I think that's huge.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. I mean, as an entrepreneur myself, obviously, that started several businesses, when I look back over what worked really well and what did not work really well, it's the unknowns that are waiting out there to just, grab you by the foot and trip you up. And that's really what I think makes businesses fail. I think that there's probably two major things that make businesses fail. Number one is not knowing a system and process that's proven for success, which it takes a while to get there. And then number two is just these pitfalls that every single entrepreneur will face at some point in time or another. And having the startup series as a guide to continually reference back to me, makes all the difference in the world compared to somebody that does not have that resource. And business consultants are really, really, really expensive. It's a good way to, especially when you're in the startup phases, that's a good way to really drain profitability, is having to call somebody and pay them by the hour every time you have a question, rather than just referencing a resource that you've got on your computer.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, you're getting basically a veteran business model that works.
Yeah.
And you're able to use that from the get-go. So, I mean, it's like, taking the Microsoft model when you're starting a software company. It's as good a start as you could have.
Well, Justin, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you joining me here and going over these business packages. And, for you guys there thinking about this, you can submit on our website or you can give us a call at 844-500-6620 and speak with a business launching consultant. Again, that's 844-500-6620. Thanks so much.